Hello, my name is Karen Daniel Hamburg from Cooperative Strategies. I will be taking you through our State of the Schools presentation for Idaho Falls School District 91. We will be going through the Facilities Master Planning process, a data overview, and some results from the Futures Conference. Please feel free to pause and rewind this video as needed, and remember to complete the survey after you finish watching this video. First, I would like to point out the mission and vision of Idaho Falls School District 91. The vision is that Idaho Falls School District 91 will provide all students with a culture that empowers, instruction that engages, and technology that enables. The mission of Idaho Falls School District 91, in cooperation with our community, is to graduate all students with the knowledge, skills, and attributes they need to be successful beyond high school. The purpose of this presentation, and the community meeting in general, is to receive input from community members that will form the planning parameters for this facilities master plan. We ask that you consider the data, along with your personal perception, to help shape the rules that this plan will follow. Our ultimate goal will be to create a roadmap for facilities improvement that address both short-term and long-term goals. This slide shows the schedule that we are following in order to get to a long-range facilities master plan. Information regarding each meeting and the associated materials from the meeting can be found on the project website. A link to the project website can be found on the last slide of this presentation. The meetings and dates highlighted in gray show the parts of the process that have already been completed. Up to this point, we have gathered facility data, held a Futures Conference with members of the community, updated the Board of Trustees, and held 2 steering committee meetings. The steering committee is made up of school representatives, parents, students, the business community, local government, and more. There are 30+ community members involved in this committee. The group is scheduled to meet 4 times during this process, but will likely meet a 5th time. This is not a policy-making group. Their role is to guide the process. In order to create the best facilities plan for District 91, there are 4 key components to school facilities planning. These include condition, enrollment, cost, and educational framework. The image on the right shows how these 4 elements help support school facilities. Without one of these elements, the stool would not be able to stand. Therefore, a good facilities master plan has to incorporate all 4 legs of the stool. A Futures Conference was held on February 26th. The purpose of the Futures Conference was to begin the facilities master planning process, as well as obtain important information regarding educational facilities and the future of Idaho Falls School District 91. One of the questions that was asked was, what are the core challenges that students of Idaho Falls are facing today? The common themes of the answers include a lack of support, including resources, the community, and equipment/technology, students not being fully prepared for the future, this includes jobs, college, etc., and facilities cannot keep up with the changing society. Another question that was asked at the Futures Conference was to list at least 2 challenges of creating a facilities improvement plan for Idaho Falls. The common themes of this question included the associated price tag and getting the necessary funding, a lack of vision and urgency, as well as community support. Finally, we asked the attendees to list 2 or 3 goals that their group would like to accomplish during this facility master planning process. Common themes from this question include the community involvement and approval, the need to cater to the needs of all students, and innovative and sustainable facilities. The Futures Conference also took a deeper dive into educational framework for District 91, which has been and will guide us through the remainder of the process. The list of items on the slide are some of the topics that were covered. Next, we're going to go through a couple of slides that lay out some background information about the district. First, your district has 25 facilities. 7 of these are admin or maintenance buildings, 12 are elementary schools, 2 are middle schools, and 4 are high schools. The school district currently serves 10,234 students. In terms of utilization, there are 7 schools that are overutilized. There are 8 schools that are between 90 and 100% utilized, and there are 3 schools that are less than 90% utilized. In terms of condition, the FCI, which is the renovation cost divided by the replacement cost in the district, ranges from 0.09 to 0.67. There are 7 schools with an FCI over 50%. There are 3 schools with FCIs between 30% and 49%, and there are 8 schools with FCIs less than 30%. In terms of enrollment, school enrollment has fluctuated over the past 10 years and is projected to decline over the next 10 years. The graph below shows the historical and projected enrollment. There are currently 232 students that transfer into District 91 from other districts. 88% of students attend their home school, while 12% of students transfer to a school within the district. 46% of students are socioeconomically disadvantaged, and there are 4 feeder splits from elementary to middle school. This slide shows the projected enrollment over the next 10 years. As you can see, enrollment is projected to decline over the next 10 years. Capacity at the elementary level was calculated 2 separate ways, the first being a design capacity, the second is a program capacity. For the purposes of this presentation, we will only be covering program capacity, as that is what we will be using moving forward for planning. In order to calculate program capacity, the total number of classrooms are counted. 2 of these classrooms were then taken out of the equation to account for an art and a music room at every school. Then, non-general classrooms, such as resource rooms, special education rooms, and Title I rooms were also taken out of the equation, as those do not carry capacity. The net total of classrooms was then multiplied by 24.14 students per classroom, which is the average at the elementary level. The recommended utilization for an elementary school is between 90 to 95%. A design and program capacity were also calculated at the secondary level. Again, we are only going to cover program capacity. If you would like to learn more about the design capacity of the buildings, please see the background report, which can be found on the project website. There are 2 major differences between the way that elementary capacity and secondary capacity are calculated. First, electives are given a capacity at the secondary level because when students leave their elective class, a new set of students replace them in that classroom. Second, because of the way that secondary schools are scheduled, meaning classroom changes every period and teachers receive 1 to 2 planning periods depending on the classes that they teach, a utilization factor was used. This utilization factor was determined by finding the average number of planning periods that teachers receive each day to find the amount of time that classrooms are left empty throughout the day. Due to teaming, middle school core teachers have 2 planning periods, while elective teachers have 1 planning period. High school teachers all receive 1 planning period a day. This average gives us a utilization factor of 75%, meaning that classrooms are used for direct instruction 75% of the school day. In this case, the class size average is 28 for secondary schools. Again, non-general classrooms do count toward capacity in this case. The recommended utilization of middle schools is 85%, and the recommended utilization of high schools is 100%. This slide shows the enrollment data for each facility in the district. Going from left to right, the first column shows current enrollment, followed by live-in enrollment, which does vary slightly from current enrollment because some students do choose to transfer out of their home school. Next is design capacity, which again, information on this can be found in the background report, followed by program capacity, which is what we will be using for planning. Program utilization is next. Program utilization is calculated by dividing the current enrollment by the program capacity. Please note that there are 4 elementary schools and 3 high schools being overutilized today. The next column is the 5-year projected enrollment, followed by the 5-year utilization, which is the projected enrollment divided by the program capacity. The last 2 columns show the socioeconomically disadvantaged student percentage at each school, as well as the English learner percentage at each school. Next, we are going to cover building condition. A Facilities Condition Index, or FCI, was calculated for each facility in the district. The FCI is calculated by dividing the cost of renovation by the cost of replacement. This ratio is used for the purpose of planning, and only as an indicator to the action that needs to be taken on a facility. The renovation and replacement costs were calculated in collaboration with the D91 Facilities, Maintenance, and Technology staff. To determine the costs, each building was gone through system by system. Categories of these systems include substructure, shell, interiors, services including mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, equipment and furnishings, and building site. This slide shows the condition at each facility. The Facilities Condition Index, as well as the renovation and replacement costs used to calculate the FCI, can be found on the right side of the chart. Please note the square foot per student for each building. This number varies greatly among buildings and can be used as an indicator of equity among buildings. Building engineers project that systems decline at 2 to 4% annually. Currently, the district funds approximately $2 million a year for capital and maintenance. This slide shows that even if we increase funding at 3% a year and only estimate that facilities decline at 2%, which is on the low end, that in 10 years the district would spend approximately $23 million and be approximately $3.5 million worse off than they were prior to the investment. It isn't likely that we would fix all $130 million worth of deficiencies. The point of this slide is that the investment does not keep up with the deterioration of school buildings. This chart shows where each building falls on a graph based on its condition and utilization. The size of the bubble represents the square footage of the facility. Elementary facilities are shown in green, middle schools in orange, and high schools in purple. The gold box near the bottom of the chart represents where the committee would like each facility to fall in terms of FCI and utilization. As you can see, only Taylorview Middle School, Edgemont Gardens Elementary School, and Ethel Boys Elementary School fall into an FCI of 30% or less, and then a utilization range of 85% to 100%. Our goal is to create a plan that moves each of these facilities back into that gold box. During our first steering committee meeting, a few questions were posed that we thought were very important to share. First, why are we going through this process? And next, what is the problem that we are trying to solve? As a response to this, the problem is that our school spaces are not currently suited for preparing our students for their next steps in jobs and careers, education, or life. And the purpose of this process is to create a plan for school facilities that help engage students in learning and are adaptable, flexible, and fiscally responsible. These spaces should support all students as they pursue a variety of interests and opportunities. As I mentioned previously, a project website was set up to share all information regarding this process. The project website includes all materials and presentations, the background report, results reports, a frequently asked questions page, the planning schedule, steering committee resources, as well as a submit a question function. If you have any questions that you would like to be answered, please use that submit a question function and we will get back to you. This concludes our presentation. Please take some time to complete the online survey, which can be found at the link on this slide. Thank you for listening to the presentation and for being a part of this important process. The steering committee will be reviewing your feedback and using the information that you provide as we move forward with this process.